Hey everybody, this is Dave Dugdale, learningdslrvideo.com. I'm up in beautiful Breckenridge, Colorado in a condo, which is very close to one of the chairlifts. So what I wanted to do with this video, this is all about stills, has nothing to do with video. I've done a video on this condo in this complex before. I'm working for a different owner. This one's gonna be all about stills. I'm by no means a world-class real estate photographer. No, not at all. But I sent one of my pictures to Mike Kelly a long time ago, who is a very good real estate photographer, or whatever he wants to call himself, interior photographer, real estate, I don't know what the term is. I don't do this that often. So what I thought I'd do is, he gave me his course for free, and I need to disclose that. With cameras and stuff, I give stuff back after I've reviewed the camera, and if I want to buy the camera, I have to pay full amount. So he let me watch his course for free, which is really nice of him. And this is not going to be a review. And I need to disclose that he gave it to me. I'm not going to say whether it was good or bad, but what I thought I'd do is you could watch me actually set all this stuff up and process the image. Yeah, I thought it would be kind of a fun exercise using maybe some of the tips that he taught me in the course. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is right here, you can see this is my Canon 5D Mark III, which actually I'm going to be selling really soon. This is the last one. The reason I'm using it is my Yongnuo triggers for my Yongnuo flashes, which you'll see here in a second, work on the 5D Mark III, but they don't work on the other two cameras that I'm reviewing right now. Actually shooting this with the Sony A7S. And my review of the A7S is definitely coming up. I'm waiting on a couple of things, both from Panasonic, from their engineering group, because I found something that I didn't like that I believe they're fixing, which I'll get into more later. And also with the Sony, I'm waiting for the MetaBones adapter, another version, which is coming in next week. I'm having some problems with the A7S with that current adapter. It works fine with the native FE lenses, but anyway, all right, let's get started. All right, so here we go. I'm using a timer, just 2 seconds. I don't have an iPad, but Camera Ranger, I don't need one because the Sony A7S or the GH4 has wireless, so I won't be using this camera after that. Here we go. I think that's pretty good. Usually when after my first frame, so I'll go ahead and I'll set this to 8 seconds. And I'm using the Tamron 24-70. And let's see, I'll just go ahead and hit that. Alright, don't need that anymore. And that usually denotes that's the start of my stuff. Let's go to 1/16 of power, and then we'll work our way around the room. So the first picture I want to do is like just this area right here. Take a look at that. A little too hot. So now I'm going to work around, and I need that chair next. Or actually just everything down on the table. That looks good. Maybe a little on that chair. So like right about there on the chair. I'm about 2 feet away. It's a little too much, but I can bring it down. Now do the fireplace. Go from a 32nd to 16th. You gotta watch out for reflections. Reflections suck. That looks pretty good. Maybe a little higher. That's the fireplace. And maybe too high. Try it again. Okay, these two are at half power. You know, the back of this pillow might be kind of fun. So let's go to just the back of that pillow. If I had an iPad, this would go a lot faster. That looks good. Let's do the windows. Now I need to get outside. All right, so let's take a look, just review what we've got. So now, what I'm waiting for is it to get a little bit darker, so to get the outside shot. And it's looking pretty darn good right now. Those clouds are looking good, so I might take a few shots right now as we talk. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna reach over here. And let's go ahead and zoom in on those mountains, because that's really what the whole thing is about, is the view out the window. And I'm not seeing a whole bunch of color just yet, so I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. All right, it's been a few minutes, maybe 10 or so minutes, and there's some light right there on that top of that mountain, so I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna probably do lots of different variations, so let's go ahead and trying to film this and shoot this at the same time is kind of difficult. I was shooting at 6.3. Usually I shoot at like f7.1 or f8. So if you guys see those numbers, yeah, I kind of screwed up a little bit. It shouldn't make that big of a difference. All right, the lighting's definitely changing, and I'm definitely seeing a little bit more color in the clouds. I don't know if I'm gonna get a lot, but what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna turn off both of these lights, see if that will even eliminate more of the reflection. But I've noticed when it gets too dark, this gets noisy. So I'd rather almost have the other one inky black, and then I can actually clone stamp it out. So let's go ahead and trigger another one and see what we get. Like I said before, I got turned off all the lights. The TV is black now, but it's too black. Let's go take a look at what we got going on outside. Not too bad. I like that light right on the mountain there. All right, I want to try this again. I want to keep the flash power the same as it was before, because I like the way it looks on the TV, because if it gets too dark, the inky blacks on the TV become noisy. So you got to give it some light. So what I'm going to do is, I think and I'm trying to look at the geometry of this light, bounces at the ceiling, hits the TV, and then hits the camera. So what I'm going to do is take this one, and I'm going to cheat it over here a little bit, and then I'll rotate it more towards the corner. So I still have some light, but it shouldn't reflect. Now, if I had some sort of way to block that, it would definitely help. So let's take a look to see what happens here. All right, so I can still see top of the TV. There is some, so I didn't even get it. I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna point them like straight up this time. I don't know which one's which. Let's give that a try. Yay, look at that, perfect. It was the angle of the flash, so that's all I had to do. I can live with that, that looks really good. It's not distracting. All right, I think this might be the last shot. The color in the clouds is getting pretty good, and the sun's almost down. This is probably it. Let's take a look. Come on, let's see some color. Yeah, there's some there. But I think I'm seeing some chromatic aberration right there on the snow. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that. I'll have to get rid of that later. All right, I think the color is pretty much all gone. I'm gonna take one last shot, just for the heck of it. Here we go. To see what I can get out the window in terms of color. So that's pretty much it. If I'm not filming myself well, I apologize. I'm trying to concentrating just on the pictures. Trying to do both things at the same time is pretty crazy, actually. So what we're gonna do next is you'll see me in post next trying to make this thing look good. I always start with the gray card. And the reason is when I click here and I say open with Photoshop, the first thing that's gonna pop up is this. So what I'm gonna do is take the eyedropper tool and click on that, which cleans up the color, or that makes it slightly warmer. I want it nice and clean or slightly warmer. I'm gonna probably go for a more clinical look at the beginning, and then I might warm it up a little bit later, but I like what's going on here with the ceiling. Everything looks pretty neutral. So then I'll say, actually before I do that, let's do a couple other things. One of the things I usually do is I'll usually bring down the highlights just a little bit and raise the shadows up just a hair. And I could add more contrast back in later. And I might add just a little bit of color. And one of the things I wanted to fix right off the bat for all of them was the chromatic aberration, which I believe is right here. I did see some purple fringing up in the snow on the mountains when I zoomed in. So I'm gonna go ahead and just defringe those areas a little bit. And that's about all I'm gonna do, is just mostly white balance and all that stuff. So now I'm gonna say select all, and I'm gonna say synchronize. I'm gonna say synchronize just about everything. All right, to save time, I went ahead and added in all the layers, as you can see here. Basically I just brought them in and made sure they aligned up, because I was touching the camera and that was unfortunate, so I had to line them up. So the first thing I'm going to do is start off with this plate. Again, I'm going to probably do things differently than what Mike Kelly does. I'm just going to, with a brush maybe around 60%, about 50% flow of around 70%, kind of a soft brush. Again, I am not any sort of expert here. Just to add a little of those specular highlights on the plate and the glass might be kind of nice. And that's about it for that one. So we'll go to the dining room table. Again, make another layer mask, B for brush, and then I'm just going to brush in the chair just a little bit. Don't worry about the flash on the table. I'm going to take care of that in a second. In fact, I'll probably do that right now. Let's bring the opacity all the way up to 100. And then let's just get rid of that. That is gone. And then bring opacity down a little bit. Just want to just feather in that table just a little bit. Alright, so next let's bring that back to about 50. Let's go to the fireplace. Since it's behind the chair, it should be easy to do. So just fireplace, go boom, and then I just paint it in. Now that I said that, I was wrong. Alright, so what I do now is let's take the fireplace and then move it between here and there. And let's see if that worked. Yes. So we got the fireplace and then we've got the chair. Order matters. So table chair, that was the dining table. And then chair, oh, here's the chair again. You know what? I don't know if I really need that. It's really bright. I'm going to say no. Let's go ahead and just delete that layer. Alright, pillowcase. This one right here. Again, just go like this. Just paint that in just a tad. And then I'm going to bring down the opacity so it's not so obvious. Just to put a little bit of light on it. Alright, far left soft chair. So this one right here. Let's turn that on. Layer mask. Just bring a little bit of light onto that. And then let's go ahead and bring that down to taste. So that's too dark. That's too bright. Maybe right in there. Right chair. Same thing. Boom. Just bring that in a little bit. And let's bring the opacity down a little bit there. Just enough to give it some light. Coffee table, same thing. Boom. So brush it in. And bring down. Actually, I kind of like it. Almost all the way up. Left window frame. So this is something that Mike Kelly did a lot. He would light up the frames of the windows to help when you go to do stuff. So I did way too much there. That's gonna come back to haunt me. So what I'm gonna have to do here is X, change the color. Let's bring this down. And let's go ahead and paint that back in, because that maybe I like that the way that was. That's going to be asking for trouble if I do any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I went way too far out there. Again, I am not any sort of expert on. I just want to light up the frame just a little bit. And let's try moving that around, maybe about right here. Alright, the middle frame, which is this one right here. B for brush, Alt. Just gonna bring a little bit of lightness back into this frame. So the transition between what I'm gonna do outside and that is not so different. And that's about it. All right. Next is piano left. Sorry, patio left. So this side right here, which I just blasted with light. So let's go Alt that, and then we'll start painting that in. I'm gonna paint it in, way too much, which is all right. And we'll just drop the opacity. So this is that's why it was so nice to get this window frame lit up a little bit. I don't know why it's taken out some of that sky, which I do not like. Maybe it's adding some lens flare. I don't know why. X. And then let's just bring that down a lot. So I don't know. I'm gonna probably have to zoom out to see this one much better. That's too dark. That's too light. Maybe you're somewhere around there. All right, patio right. Do the same thing. Boom, boom. Zoom in. Again, this is not really a tutorial because I am not a Photoshop kind of guy. Let's go ahead and paint that in. And the way I've got the layers set up, it's pretty nice because I'm not having to worry about painting over things. And then that works out pretty well. All right, oop, let's clean that up. And then let me just, if I hit Alt and I do that, yeah, I can see where I've missed. Okay. Then let's bring the opacity down real quick. Kind of match the other side. That's too dark. I kind of like that detail I see in there. Maybe right about there. Back up. Sometimes I make it really small and I'm like, oh, it's really obvious when you see it super small, like a thumbnail size. So sometimes it's good to go way down. And then the last one is the mountain view, which I could definitely bring in the sky because actually I'm liking here. You guys probably can't see that very well. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So I'm kind of liking what I see. See the light on the mountain right here? But this is blown out. So I like that window, but not so much then. I like the way the light is hitting these trees. But you see how we lost the trees right there? So I'm gonna try to blend these two. So right, I want the light on the mountain up here, and I want the trees here, but I want the sky there. Let's see if we can do this. So Alt, boom, and then what I'm gonna do is let's start painting white here. So we can bring that back in. You see, I just made the window a little bit darker. I didn't really want to do. So we're gonna the nice thing about this kind of method is I don't have to do any sort of pen tool. I'm just gonna bring, because these match already pretty well. Let me see if I can just keep painting. I just want to get the sky a little bit darker here. And let's turn that on. See, we got that darker. But I'm keeping the trees down here because if I go down here, it's just way too dark. So actually what I'm going to do is just darken up just a little bit. So I'm going to bring the opacity down. Just a couple of strokes in here ought to do it. All right, let's look at the other window. I'd like this. Let's just see if we bring that down a little bit. That's pretty good. Yeah, I don't want to go that far. I'll lose that color. And then over here, I don't think we have to do anything to this building because it doesn't change at all. So that's after and that's before. You know what? Those are reflections on the window, aren't they? I thought that was originally snow, but those are reflections. Interesting. You know what I might do? Let's go and hit X. Bring this down a little bit. Maybe lighten this up just a tad. Didn't even have to use the pen tool, which I like not having to use. Alright, so what I did is I created a group called Flash Lighting. So here's our base layer, and here's our finished product. Before, after, before, and after. So that's pretty much it. The only thing I'm seeing that I might want to try next is actually the window frame is too bright. So I'm going to go back to the left window frame. Let's bring that opacity down a bit. And let's look at it again. The other thing I see is the fireplace right here. Let's go ahead and add a color balance. I believe that's color balance. Make it a little bit red and a little bit warm, but I want to do that layer mask, clipping layer mask. So now you can see there's a little bit of warmth added into the stone, maybe too much. Let's back the red off a little bit and add a little bit of yellow. Somewhere in there, because that flash is a little bit too clinically clean in terms of what it's doing. I'm trying to set more of a mood here. So what I'll do next is Shift Alt E, I believe is the command. I create a new combined layer, and then bring this out and see how we're doing in terms of lining up with things. I try to get the tripod as straight as I could, and there's so many different ways to do things in this program. It's just disgusting. So one of the things that Mike does, let me see if I can do this, is he goes edit, transform skew. I don't know if I like this, but again, I wasn't going to say anything good or bad. I just try to be very neutral about this. That's kind of what he does, like that. And it kind of fixes along the line of where the TV is. Let's take a look. The window's not perfect. This is the 24-70 lens. So the right side of the picture is not bad. It's the left side of the picture is a bit off. And let's take a look. Again, along the stone you really can't tell, so I'm not too worried about that. And the TV I'm not too worried about either. Gosh, I'm gonna say we're pretty darn close. So I'm gonna take that and we're just gonna go right up here and pull down over to here. And we'll go edit, crop. Go go out. So we'll call this distortion fix. And let's go Control J, and then we'll just call this color correction. And we'll go up to here, we'll go filter, camera raw filter. Since I'm more of a Lightroom user, I know what I'm doing in Lightroom. This is very similar to Lightroom. So I'm gonna try warming it up or cooling it down and see where that wants to be. I'm gonna say kind of like in here. I'm actually taking some warmth out of the image. Maybe right about here. Try going to magenta or green. It's like no, I'd say keep it at 0. Like I said before, I might actually add some contrast back in. I might not do it here. Highlights and the shadows should be fine. Let's see what I have the whites. Yeah, we're good on the whites. Blacks. Yeah, blacks are pretty good. Maybe add a tad of clarity. And maybe a little bit more color. Vibrance. Alright, so I'm looking at this and it looks like we're pretty good. Sometimes I'll play with some medium contrast. I could use a little bit more contrast. So maybe let's go back to medium contrast, but I don't need that much. Just bring this up ever so slightly. And here's the before and after, just enough. Sharpening, I think I already added sharpening, but just go take a look. Like the fireplace would be a great place to look. This is 200%, so that's probably too much. And let's just bring a little bit, oh yeah, I'll take a little bit more sharpening, right about, maybe right around here. That looks good. And let's see, what else can we do? Let's play with the colors a little bit. Trying to look around to see if the wood is maybe too warm. So I'm gonna just take this and I'm gonna pull it down. So if I pull it down too much, it's way too much. I just want to pull it down just a little bit. The wood, I think, is a little too warm. And what else? Everything else looks pretty good. You know, I might actually take the luminance of this wood and just bring it up ever so slightly. See, I bring it up too much. Just a little bit. And saturation, I might take a little bit of what's in the fireplace, like this kind of grayish stuff. Bring that up just a tad. See what that did. Not much, just a little bit. And sometimes I'll play with this. Sometimes I'll say, okay, what if I were to cool down the highlights just a little? What would that look like? And I think it does help. So I'm going to pull out just a little bit of saturation in the highlight, or not as warm in the highlights. Just a little bit, and I'm going to try that in the same thing in the shadows. That's too much. But I'd say maybe right in there. And I think we're good on chromatic aberration because I think I did it already, but who knows, we'll add a little bit more. All right, it's been a couple hours and I stepped away, and which I like to do, and I came back and looked at it again. I'm like, I found a couple of things that just kind of bothered me, so I wanted to fix really quick. So the first one was just the sky right here. I put in a different sky because I just wasn't getting enough color. There's the sky without it, and there it is. I found a picture that I did a while back of the crazy sky, but I just added in a little bit. You can see if I change the opacity, it's down at 38, but if I bring it up, it's like way too much. Bring it down. So I thought around, I don't know, 38 or so was about right. The other thing that bothered me is this arm of the couch and the pillow was just a little too hot, so I just brought it down slightly. I just did a burn, and that's pretty much it. So let's do the before and after.